Okay, so we have a lot of announcements to talk about at the start of today. Today is our review period for the test, but I expect a lot of people are going to work on Project 6, which is totally fine. You can work on it with each other. I'm happy to answer questions on it during this period too. But before we do that, let's get through a slew of announcements. So the first announcement has to do with it's an answer key on page 50. So if we could open to page 50. And while we're opening to page 50, just a reminder that today is our review period for Monday's test. Monday's test is on everything since test number 1. A few pages before page 50, you'll find a very detailed list of the things I'd like you to be able to do heading into Monday's test. But on page 50 at the bottom, you'll find the answer key, and I made 2 mistakes in this answer key. So if we could fix them, the first one has to do with question 1, part E. Everybody see it? The very last answer there has a cosine, and it's negative, and it should be positive, and it should be sine. So can we fix that? Have we already fixed that? Yeah, okay, good. Have we already fixed that before today or just now? Oh, we did. Oh, we did it before today. All right. What about this one? Did we fix 8B? Ah, see? Good reason you came in today. I was looking, I was like waiting for people to write down the corrected answer. I'm just like, man, nobody wants to write down the right answer. Is this one fixed? Okay, so 8B should be 0.161. 161. Okay, so that is that. A few other announcements I've got written here on the whiteboard. On your desks, there's a copy of the Class 14 supplement. I had handed this to you a few weeks ago. We really haven't mentioned it, but this one has the answers on it. So the whole idea of Class 14 was to use left and right rectangles and maybe some trapezoids to estimate area under a curve. And we came up with some nifty little formulas, but I neglected to mention back on Class 14 that those nifty formulas that you see at the top of this page only apply when the rectangles are equally spaced. And that's what they were all day on Class 14. But I realized later on that they don't have to be equally spaced, and so I wanted to make sure we had an opportunity to do some that weren't equally spaced before the test. And I say that I never want to teach to the test, and I write the test like months before the test actually happens so that I don't run the risk of teaching to the test. So honestly, I can tell you, I don't know if there's a problem on the test with not equally spaced rectangles or trapezoids, but just in case there is, I want to make sure you have this and you look at it between now and Monday, okay? I think there's enough info on the page to just read through it and understand, okay, this is what's going on. But if there's not, make sure that you take a look at it maybe in the next 10 minutes and ask me if there are any questions on that. Okay, the next thing about Project 6, I understand it is challenging. So if folks want to use part or all of this period to work on Project 6 with their classmates or with me, that's super. Maybe we'll get people to all go to the same table that wanted to work on Project 6. Let's see, so it's due today. I'll take it any time today. It's not technically late now, even though usually at the start of class I want it. So turn it in any time today for full credit. If you turn it in Monday, it's a 5-point penalty. That's normal. But also if you turn it in Wednesday, it would normally be a 10-point penalty, but I'm going to keep it at 5 because I want you focused on the test. Monday's test is the important thing right now. The project hopefully will help solidify some of the ideas about these applications of the integral. But turn it in Monday or Wednesday, it won't be too big of a penalty. Last thing, and this is the part where I'll stare at the back wall so nobody thinks I'm talking to them specifically. The last day to withdraw this semester is Tuesday, April the 9th. It's the very next day after our test. If there is any possibility that you might be considering withdrawing from this class, let me know today, and then I'll make sure that I grade your test first, and then we can have a conversation before this Tuesday, right? You'll hand me the test Monday, and maybe we can make an appointment to meet on Tuesday so you have the information from the test. Any questions on that? Okay, so I think that is that. The very last thing we'll point out here, and then you guys can do whatever will help you today, is on the last page, 56. The last page of the packet just talks very briefly about the test itself. So there are 2 focuses on this test. There are challenging integrals and there are applications of integrals. So the challenging integrals that we have seen since the first test, partial fractions, trig substitutions. Finding integrals numerically is the rectangle and trapezoid stuff that we just talked about. Improper integrals, there are two kinds, ones with infinities on the integral sign, and also ones which pass over an infinite discontinuity for the integrand. Like if I say integrate 1 over x, what's the problem? What x value is the problem? 0. So if I say integrate 1 over x between 2 and 5, no problem. But if I say between -3 and 4, that's a problem. That's an improper integral. Okay, and then the comparison test, where you try to decide whether an integral converges or diverges by comparing it to one whose behavior you know. So that's going to be about 35 to 40% of the test. Applications will be the rest. We have volume with discs, also washers. I don't know why that didn't make it in the list. Discs and washers. Shells, and then don't forget the cross-sectional area ones. Like the egg, the chocolate egg one was a cross-sectional area one. So they're not all rotational. And then more applications, we talked about center of mass, we talked about work, present and future value, and then some probability stuff. Things to know about the test: you can use calculator, you can use a one-page reference sheet that you create. You can also use the integration reference sheet and the partial fractions trig substitution reference sheet. Those are the first page of each of our two packets. Right? So 2 pages plus one of your own creation. Okay, your window for this test is 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So get here early if you want some extra time. And the expectation is that you're going to use calculus and not formulas or your calculator to evaluate all integrals unless the directions specify otherwise. So make sure you can do antiderivatives. And just for the record right now, we'll point out that there is a reading assignment due on Wednesday after the test, as well as questions of the day. Any general questions about the test at this point? Okay, so let's say if there are folks who want to work on the project right now, can I just get a show of hands who wants to work on the project right now? Okay, looks like about 6, 7 people. So maybe you guys can all kind of, there's an empty table back there. So maybe this group over here can head back there, and Chris, you can join them. And I'll walk around and answer any questions I can about the sample test problems or the project. Yes, Joe?
What is the test window again?